Good morning. It is dark no matter where I aim this. Oh well. I am starting off the day here eating breakfast, eating a cereal that I forgot that I had in my pantry. MJ bought this because she thought it was funny, and we forgot to finish it. So I'm probably gonna finish that in the next day or two. It's not bad yet, but it's definitely getting there. Anyway, today I go back to work. I told you that last night, and I need to get some things done before I leave. Excuse me. I was able to actually catch up on vlogs, which is huge. So as of right now, I have no vlogs to make, which means I can spend all of my time working on my secret project, which is no longer a secret. We'll talk about that today. All right, so we're working on the next part of the secret project right now. And I've got my monitor set up here, camera set up here, and I was filming some things on this counter. I'm still filming things on this counter, but I took a break just to like say that I was doing this because I realized I haven't done this. I'm home alone right now, so I have the kitchen available to me and a silent house. So I'm taking this opportunity to work on this because this project had to happen in the kitchen, but it's always loud in the house. My mother's usually watching TV and I don't want to like disturb her, so I'd rather just wait for her to be out of the house. So she's out of the house. So now we're getting to work. I've got about 40 minutes before I have to start getting ready for work here. So I'm hopeful that I can get all of this done in the 40 minutes. I can always edit later. I can't film later. I'm at work, but I realized I forgot to like actually update what I was doing. So I finished that project that I was working on, and I had to leave for work. I ended up being a little bit late for traffic and food and a bunch of circumstances, but I've been here for a little bit. So now that all of that's done, when I clock out, let's actually start talking about what this secret project actually is. I'm home. I've actually been home for a really long time, hence the costume change. But let's talk a little bit about what I'm gonna do next. So in the vlog title, 7,732 and 68 cents, it's something like that. I mentioned the fact that like income has always been a thing that I've been, I don't want to say insecure, but kind of insecure, but also upset over, because I don't make a lot of money, and that's fine. Kind of, it's fine. But for the things that I want to accomplish in life, one of those was being financially well off, and that comes from my upbringing of being like lower middle class or higher lower class, depending on how you want to look at it, and not having much to my name, and just kind of making a decision of, I don't want to go through this as an adult. Whatever. I'm not here to trauma dump on you about that kind of stuff. But I do want to keep working toward that. You know, as I got older, that was one of the things, that was one of the pillars for me. That was one of the pillars of my personality that never went. I always wanted to be financially free. I never wanted money to be the reason that I held back, or money to be the reason I couldn't do a thing. So, you know, that's why I started working. For a very long time, I've worked, or excuse me, I shouldn't say for a very long time. I've worked normal retail jobs for almost 3 years now. I've worked at 2 different stores. I stayed at both of them for about a year, and the one I've been at now, I'm here long term. I've been here for like a year and a half at this point. And the other one I was at for just about a year before that store closed down. So like I've been in the retail world for a little bit, and it took me a very long time to get into it. You know, like retail's supposed to be that kind of job where you know, it's a first job, you know, it's like, that's where you begin. You start making minimum wage, or maybe a little above that if you get lucky. And then you just kind of move through as see fit. You know, you become like assistant manager, blah, 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 you up the ranks, or you just transplant yourself out of that and move into like maybe the corporate world or something like that. And I remember that was my plan at 18. I was going to be in retail, you know, work those kind of jobs, maybe move up if I wanted to, or just use that as a stepping stone to learn customer service, learn team working, learn working in like a group, and then transplant those skills somewhere else. But I didn't get my first job until I was like 22. I think I was 21 or 22 actually, I can't remember. And that really severely set off my plans because I was trying to sit here, I was trying to make money, I was trying to do all of these things, but I couldn't do them because I didn't have an income. And I applied to double-digit amount of stores and went around, you know, meeting managers, giving resumes, the whole thing. Like, I did the whole thing. I was getting interviewed. I was, like I said, I was shaking hands. I was giving resumes. I was doing online applications. I was on LinkedIn and, or not LinkedIn, I was in Indeed and Monster and all those. I was on there every single day, and nothing ever gave. And that was so discouraging to me. To the point that when I actually found my first job, it was minimum wage, and I was like, yep, I'll take it. Because it's better than the zero that I was getting paid anywhere else, you know? Even from there, when that store was closing, I remember we had customers come in to be like, oh, so are they transplanting you guys? And we were like, no, we're just finding new jobs. And I had one that was like, oh, are you in college? Yeah, what do you do? IT. Oh, you have a resume? Yeah. Here's my email. Send it to me. We're looking for interns. Okay, I sent it to her. To this day, I still haven't heard back. And that was a year, 2 years ago now. Or a year and a half ago at this point. No, maybe 2. I don't know. That was a long time ago, and I still haven't heard back from her. And it was getting to the point where I'm like, man, maybe this is the universe telling me something, you know? This is the universe telling me that I should be doing something different, that this normal working path isn't for me. I'm not spiritual hippie in that kind of way, but sometimes I am. And I don't know, I just feel like if I was being faced with that much friction toward going through the normal path, something was telling me that it wasn't for me. I've always been into like content creation, we know this, obviously. And you know, I've been doing YouTube for a long time, and it wasn't working out, but I feel like that it was my fault, you know, like, and to this day my YouTube channel is still, it's grown and it's growing faster and it's healthier than it's ever been, but I still feel like it's my fault, the reason why it's not where it should be. I always push for content creation. It's been the only thing that I've ever wanted to do. Having it be this constant in my life, something was just like this, I'm watching people do it, you know, like I'm watching people just like me make it. I'm on the internet and I'm like, there's got to be something to that. I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So I kept on cruising, and it was maybe a year ago now I discovered something called UGC, which stands for user generated content. And I'm seeing people who have no following make living money. Like on the low end, I'm watching people make a few extra $100 a month, and maybe up to like a few extra $1,000 a month. And on the high end, I'm seeing people claiming that they're making $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, making these UGC videos. And it was so intriguing to me because my following's not big, and I never wanted to taint the Richard Ashby name with something that wasn't explicitly Richard Ashby. But this seemed like a way I can do both of those things, where I could make the money, but I could also not have to ruin the reputation of my brand doing something else. I started looking into it, but I got too busy with other things to ever like make a portfolio, but it never really left my mind. And I remembered it again this year. And I said, you know what? 2025 has been the year of give it everything you got. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just go for it? So for the past couple days, where I've been talking about my secret projects and these videos I've been making videos for the portfolio for my UGC page. I'm starting UGC. That is the big secret project. I decided that if I was ever going to find out if this path was for me, I have to go for it, and I have to give it my all. Just like with everything this year, I am going to give it 100%. So I'm finishing up my portfolio. I've made like 3 videos. I'm gonna try to get like maybe 3 or 4 more, get like 6 or 7 videos, finish up that portfolio, sign up for the websites or in the services that, like, you know, you start off with the UGC things like Billo and stuff like that. just to see if I can get some initial clients in, make some money, learn about the field, learn about dealing with clients, learn about negotiation, all of that kind of stuff, and see if I can use that as a way to push myself forward. I think that if this works out, it will solve a lot of my problems, because I'll be making more money, which means I can put more in savings, I can invest more, I can get closer to my goal. I mentioned it a couple days ago. Richard Ashby is going to be a millionaire, but you can't save your way to be a millionaire. You have to earn your way there. And my income is the thing that's been the hard stop for me. I can only make so much working where I work. But if I'm doing something like UGC, I can absolutely bridge that gap myself. It's just going to take a lot of work. At the same time, I can also maybe upgrade my equipment doing it. You know, we've talked about how I use the ZV-E10, but there's been lenses and stuff that I've been wanting, and maybe even I can get a new body, you know? Like, I love this camera, but I've always wanted like an FX3, or maybe even a Blackmagic, like a pocket cinema camera or something like that. I can fund, or even if we're talking about Richard Ashby main channel, you know, it's like I have so much like music gear that I would love to, like, you know, get more of. I can make more videos about them. I can maybe rent things and things to increase my video quality, but also maybe my like audio quality. My audio interface, I've been using that since I started recording music. It might be time for an upgrade. You know, there's just so many things that this can enable me to do, where the hard limit, like the gate, has been my income. But if this UGC thing works out, the income won't be the limit anymore. I'm very excited for what UGC could do for me in prospects, but also just in general. UGC could be big for me, and I'm excited to play with it and find out for myself. I'm gonna give it my all, and we're just gonna see what happens. We're just gonna see what happens. Anyway, I'll stop yapping. This was an 11-minute clip. This is gonna be a pain in the butt to edit tomorrow. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Let's meet back tomorrow for something different. New beginnings. Good night.